What is up, guys? After a little bit of a delay, I am back at it again with some more power rankings. And we're up to the top three. Before getting into this one, let me just say that, and well, most of you guys are aware of this, I'm a very objective person. I'm very, very black and white. I look at numbers, and whatever the numbers tell me, that's how I rank things. That's how I figure out the percentages. That's how this whole thing is done, is based off of strictly numbers. I know Mike doesn't understand why he's at number 3. I'm just telling you that Yahoo thinks that you're at number 3. So that's where I put you. If this was a subjective power rankings, you would be number 1. You are the champion. The theme song that I chose for the Outlaws here, and there's no real reason to think that you can't repeat. I will say that the top 3 teams are all really, really close to each other, but just based off of how many regular season wins you are predicted to have, you are 3rd. It's really, really close, especially between you and Doug. The reason why the Awesome Masonites is ranked ahead of you is he's got an easier schedule. He has me and Ivan in his division instead of having Oakland and San Francisco. So me being the 11th ranked team, Northman being the 8th ranked team, and you have teams 7 and 6 in your division. I mean, nothing to cry about because there's another division out there that is much tougher than yours, but that was the difference between you being ranked number 2 and you being ranked number 3. Well, there. That's why you're number 3. If I was just ranking off a feeling, I'm a stats guy. I don't have feelings. If I was ranking off of feelings, I would put you number 1 at the preseason, but this is not on feelings. This is about numbers. So if we look at starting lineup, Cam Newton, number 1 quarterback last year. He carried Mike to his championship during the playoffs. No reason why he can't do that again. His number 2 quarterback is Kirk Cousins, former Sparty. Had a good year last year. Obviously, a huge drop-off between Cam and Kirk, but Kirk is more than a capable backup. Then Sam Bradford did just sign in Minnesota. I think that he's an upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater as far as fantasy numbers are concerned. Maybe not a better NFL quarterback, but we don't really care about the NFL and how good of an NFL quarterback they are. We just care if they're putting up numbers. Sure, fine enough. Quarterback 3. Probably won't ever use them. Oh, I'll apologize. The audio is probably terrible. I left my headphones and my microphone at home. So, yeah, I figured you'd rather hear it like this than not hear it at all today. Moving on to wide receivers. A.J. Green, Alshon Jeffrey, and Mike Evans. Very, very good. I would actually have my personal rankings a little bit different than this. I would have Mike Evans above Alshon for sure, and maybe even above A.J., but Evans and A.J., top 10 wide receivers. Alshon is knocking on the door. Very, very good set of wide receivers, and that's before we even get to his flexes with Brandon Cooks and Demaryius Thomas. So those are 5. We'll call it 4 studs and Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius has Trevor Siemian throwing to him. I expect his numbers to come down a little bit this year, although Manning wasn't good last year, but Demaryius isn't what he was last year. If Mike had gotten Dez instead of Demaryius, 5 studs. Demaryius is a huge step below Dez and a huge step below his other 4 wide receivers here. Beyond these guys, not a whole lot. Pierre Garçon, serviceable, but he's probably never playing Pierre. and probably not playing Will Fuller this year. I know that this is not a dynasty ranking, but if we look ahead a little bit, next year the only 3 wide receivers he has under contract is Brandon Cooks, Mike Evans, and Will Fuller. Granted, he will probably franchise Alshon as well, but he could be looking at quite a bit different of a wide receiving core next year. Moving on to running backs. If this was a standard league, he's got the best running back in the league in Todd Gurley. But I have better hands than Todd Gurley does. Not a whole lot of receptions going that way. I'd still take him top 5 among running backs in the PPR league, but you do have to knock him down just a touch for that. His running back 2, Eddie Lacy. Are we going to see a rejuvenated Eddie Lacy, or is it going to be Fat Eddie again this year? Beyond those two, there are some interesting guys. Jeremy Hill starts on most teams. Melvin Gordon, what are we going to see from him? Is he going to cut into Danny Woodhead? We haven't seen Danny yet in these rankings, so that battle could be key as we go forward. And then Josh Ferguson, he's Josh Robinson 2.0, and you're like, who's Josh Robinson? Exactly. Mike Davis, he did just pick up Terrence West from one of his main rivals, and could be an interesting play if one of his top guys does go down, or during bye weeks, someone that he could probably fill in unless Forsett gets signed back there, which I think might happen. But in the meantime, Terrence West, who'd have thunk it? Actual fantasy commodity. Kenyon Barner, I don't know who that is. I don't know who he plays for. And Ronnie Hillman, not on the team. So, again, very, very solid at the top. It would have been more solid if he kept Le'Veon, who's obviously out 3 weeks. But in that Le'Veon trade, he did get Brandon Cooks. He did bolster his depth at running back, getting both Lacy and Jeremy Hill. I still really, really like that trade for him. But did hurt his top line ever so slightly. Moving on to tight ends. He's got Greg Olsen penciled in as his starter, so he's got the Newton to Olsen connection, which last year was awesome and probably will be awesome again this year. Then he's got an old guy behind Olsen in Jimmy Graham. For a while there, it sounded like he might not even be playing. He is playing this year. How does Jimmy fit into the Seattle offense? Doesn't even matter because he does have Olsen, and then behind that, Zach Miller, who's filling in to the Martellus Bennett role now in Chicago. Martellus has been awesome, has been very good. I can't say awesome on the straight face. He's been very good over the past couple of years. Maybe Zach is in a good position there. So, I already mentioned that Mike has a couple solid teams in his division, the 6th and 7th ranked overall teams in Oakland and San Francisco. But despite that, still a big favorite to win his division at -160. Even if he doesn't win his division, he's got a very good chance of getting a wild card slot and taking the long way through the playoffs, which he had to do last year and did successfully because he's -390 to just make the playoffs. So according to the numbers, he's projected the 3rd most wins in the league, but he actually has the 2nd best championship odds. His schedule in the regular season was a little bit tougher, but once they get to playoffs, he does have a little bit better shot of finishing in the top 3, winning the championship, than Austin does. So razor thin, or at least pretty thin, differences between the 2 and the 3 team here. It just comes down to the schedule, and the schedule favors Austin ever so slightly, and enough to bump the Outlaws to number 3. Yeah, I got time for at least one more. Maybe I'll finish it up today. But that is your number 3 team. See you guys again soon.